Hello, everyone. Good morning to you. And I'm so excited to welcome you to yet another promising session as we take our time out to monitor price action, review our existing position, and at the same time use the information we have gathered to take and look out for more opportunity ahead of the London and the New York session today. First of all, I would like to say I was a little bit late today. I'm very sorry for that. I was trying to manage my existing positions before I go into the live session, as I might not be able to do the necessary action during the live session. So please pardon me as we dive right into the business for today. I can see Hamin in the comment section. Good morning, Hamin. It's been a while since I saw you. Trust you are doing well and really glad to have you around. So let's dive right into the business without further ado. And you know how we do it. The first thing we always want to do every morning is to ensure that we keep tabs with the fundamental aspect of the market. As you all know how important this event are for us, it helps us to time our position and at the same time help us to be able to position ourselves in such a way that we can catch potential moves ahead or during or after this event. Well, it has been quite a very cautious start to this morning's trading session. We have been seeing how price action has been doing a little bit of choppy situations across the instrument that we have been monitoring, especially the US dollar. And I think there is an exception to the gold, which in the last couple of minutes had begun to gain some momentum. We are going to be looking at that in a moment, and I'm of the opinion that the issue of the US debt ceiling that is still on the table between the US president and the Republican delegates is still one thing that is still causing a whole lot of doubt in the market. But Joe Biden said yesterday that he has a very positive assurance that this whole thing will be resolved, that the debt ceiling will be increased before the weekend. So we are all hanging on to that hope that things might look very well. And if it does, I'm of the opinion that the dollar might likely rise going into the weekend. So we are going to be looking at how we are going to be positioning ourselves in that regard. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the economic calendar. And you all know what we do here. We want to focus on high impact event that is going to be affecting the currency pairs that is on our watch list, and that is the US dollar, the Japanese yen, and the pound sterling. And from what we have here on Thursday, May 18th, we are expecting the a feature from the UK docket, and that is the monetary policy report hearing. So this is one event that majority will definitely be looking forward to, and it's coming up in about an hour from now. So for our GBPUSD pair, we definitely want to be securing our position ahead of that, and we're also going to be looking out for what is actually transpiring in that market to be able to identify a potential setup high health of the event. So with that being said, hello everyone, welcome back. I'm so sorry for the breaking transmission. I had internet reception issues, so I had to switch my service provider to a better one, and I think things are moving on quite fine right now, as I can see from my monitoring device here that there are no lagging. So excuse me for that one, and let's dive right back into the business for today. So we were talking about the US oil spot. We were trying to review that chart, and the first thing I would like to say here is congratulations to everyone who had been part of this profitable trade since the beginning of the week, as we were able to hit our TP target yesterday with close to 500 pips in profit on this one. So let's see how the week started for us on the US All Spot, as you can see here. So the week started with a situation where we saw our price action was initially trading between the $70.15 level and the $69.35 area, giving us a very simple setup to guide our trading activity for the week. And we all know how we do it. Whenever we identify this kind of simple setup, we want to see price action either break out of the resistance line for buying opportunity or break down of the support line for selling opportunity. And this was exactly what happened on Monday. We saw how price action broke out of the resistance line of that channel to inside our first buy position for the week. And we also had another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade, as we saw our price action broke out of that trend line and the $70.40 area to give us another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. So it was a very profitable start to the week for us on the US All Spot, as we saw price action move about, the first position moved about 160 pips before the old choppy situation began. Then we saw the second position move about 130 pips in profit before this old sell pressure began. Then on Tuesday, on Tuesday, prior to Tuesday morning live session, we had this old choppy situation existing in this market where price action was ranging between the $71.40 level and the $70.91 area. And in fact, as a result of this choppy situation we saw here, we projected a potential retracement phase around that area after we cited a simple setup that looked more like an head and shoulder pattern, which from a technical standpoint is a very strong reversal pattern. So we had this whole structure figured out on Tuesday, where we saw something like this, the head right here, we saw the right shoulder at this point, and we anticipated that price action will break that neckline at the $70.91 area. So we also had another sell position here, as we saw our price action move to break down, retest the structure. So that means if we had missed out on the first position, the market gave us more opportunities to add more position to our existing trade, as we saw price action move about, how many pips was that? About 90 pips in our favor before we saw the beginning of this bullish momentum yesterday. And in fact, we were actually late to enter that bullish momentum there, as we saw sharp rejections around that area where was our resistance line at the beginning of the week. Remember, this was the resistance line here. We had the breakout of structure, and from a technical standpoint, we saw our price action came back to do a retest of that structure to incite the second wave of the bullish momentum for this week. So like I was saying earlier, we were late to enter that move, as we saw this whole situation happen here. And I told us all yesterday that we might want to see price action come back to retest the $70.40 level, which never happened. And because of the situation here, I shared on my public platform that a breakout retest of the $70.91 level would have also broken out of that trend line, which will be negating all selling pressure at this point. So with the situation we had here, we had our second buy position for the week above the $70.91 level. We added more position to our existing trade, had a $71.40 area. And during the New York session yesterday, we also added another buy stop order above the $72 area, and at this point we saw how price action moved significantly well to hit our TP target at the $73 area. Now, for the sake of clarity here, I would like to share with you how the commentary went by yesterday on my public platform. So I normally share this on both my TradingView and Telegram platform to detail our plans on how we are going to be taking advantage of these opportunities. So this is how it all started for us this week. We had our first buy position here. We anticipated the breakout of the $70.40 level to add more position to our existing trade, and as you can see, we saw our price action continued to the upside. But as soon as it got into that area around the $71.38 level, we saw this whole choppy situation began, and I told us all here that we need to remain patient. As you can see, I said we shall wait patiently for structures to mature for the next line of action. Now, during the live session yesterday, we identified this. Oh, this was on Tuesday, I think. We identified this inverse, this head and shoulder pattern, anticipating the breakdown of the neckline to be part of a sell position, which we actually did. We had some chopper situation. Price moved about 90 pips in our favor before we begin to see the buy pressure resume. So I was talking about how we missed out on the opportunity at the $70.15 area here, and I said here during our live session that we are going to be looking out for a breakout of the $70.91 to join that move. Even though we were late, but we were able to scoop over 500 pips in profit as we continue to add more position, riding that move all the way to the upside. So this was how it went for us in the last 48 hours in this market. Now, this morning I shared this commentary here this morning where I said, since hitting the TP target yesterday, price action falls into a consolidation phase, hence the need to remain patient for structures to mature for the next line of action. And I said here that an update is coming up soon, and I think about 20 minutes afterwards I was able to spot a simple setup on the 15 minutes time frame that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. So let's go right back into the live chat and let's see how we are going to be using that structure to our own advantage. So back into the 15 minutes time frame right now. So what did we see here on the 15 minutes time frame? So I would like to zoom this in a little bit so that we can see things more clearly here. All right, so since price action hit our TP target at the $73 area, we saw some selling pressure come in, and as a result of that one, I was able to connect the series of lower highs in this market to give us this resultant bearish trend line that you can see on your screen. And definitely this is going to be one of the parameters we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. Then besides the trend line that we have here, our two key levels had a $72.80 area and the $72.50 level. It's like a 30 cent range we have here, where price action had remained since the later part of yesterday's trading session. As you can see here, we can see our price action is sandwiched between this range. And from a technical standpoint, you know how we do it. Whenever we have a simple flat channel like this, we just need to be very, very patient at this point, waiting for structures to mature, as a breakout of the resistant line will give us an opportunity to buy. Then if a breakout of the resistant line happens, then we have a bullish rectangular pattern, which is from a technical standpoint a trend continuation structure. However, if price action breaks down the support line of this channel at $72.50 level, then at this point we want to be considering some retracement move to the downside. Now, one thing about this move here is the fact that it is a counter trend opportunity. So if you are someone who doesn't feel comfortable taking counter trend opportunities, I would advise that you stay clear of this position of this opportunity while you wait out for price action to get into our bus stop in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So personally, I already have a sell stop order before the live session, just right below the $72.50 level to take advantage of that opportunity. Now, how far that move is going to go, that is, if price action breaks down the $72.50 level, I don't know yet. But one thing for sure is that we already have a trend line here, which shall be our guide for this bearish move. So if price action breaks down, I'm of the opinion that this is likely going to be seen as a profit-taking activity, as majority who had bought the US oil at a very cheap price, let's say around the $70 area yesterday, will at one point want to be doing some profit-taking activities, which shall reflect on the chart as a retracement phase to the downside, probably in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So for this one right now, if we are going to be selling below the $72.50 level, we want to project where the TP target is going to be, and to get that, we want to be using our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through the previous impulse leg, and we are going to be aiming at an area between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. And if we do that correctly, we have a new area here between the $71.65 and the $70.70 area. So I always like my TP target area to be in yellow, and then let's give it a label. So we have this area as a potential TP target. Then we also going to name that area as a potential buy zone. So what this simply means is that as soon as price action gets into the structure and we begin to see buy pressure or a reversal pattern, then it is very likely that we are about to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So let's place this right inside the box for the sake of clarity. All right, so we have a very simple projection here. Then another thing I would like to state here is that we also had an impulse leg around this area. So if price action does not follow the first impulse leg, there is a likelihood that it will follow this one here. So I want to use my Fibonacci retracement tool to map that one out too, so that we can have a whole range to work with just in case, so that we can also use it to, if we start seeing reversal patterns, we know, okay, fine, we are within a golden zone area. So I would like to double this one, and then okay, so we have it right here. Okay, so we have the 78.6. okay, so it's quite a very huge range here. So it, depending on how price action reacts to that $72.50 level, will determine if sellers going to come in, and if sellers come in, we are looking at this area around this. So let me zoom in, so that we can see things more clearly here. So like I was saying, a breakdown of the structure, we have our TP target anywhere from around the $72.20 area into the $70.20 level is a very good area for our TP target. But one thing we are going to be looking out for when price action gets into the structure is the appearance of reversal patterns like double bottom structures, inverse head and shoulder pattern, falling wedge. These are very beautiful signs for us to see that price action is going to be moving, begin another wave of bullish momentum. So we're also going to be on standby to catch that one too as well. And if you are with me on my TradingView and Telegram platform, you will definitely get an update in that regard. So that is how we are going to be looking out for selling opportunities in this market. So let's be on standby to catch that move. So I told you I already have a sell stop order below the $72.50 level, and depending on how price action reacts to the structure will determine if we are going to be adding more sell position to our existing trade. So if a breakdown of that structure happens, retest of that level, I want to be adding more sell position, then I will be aiming at this area around the $71.40 level to see how price action will react to that structure for me to probably join another wave of bullish momentum or add more sell position to my existing trade. Don't worry, I'm going to be with you in the comment section, so I will always give you an update as at when due. So these are my views here on the US oil spot for today. If you do have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am willing, very willing to be of help in that regard. So moving on right now, we are going to be going into the GBPUSD, which is another pair that has been on the profitable side for us in the last 24 hours, though it was quite a little bit choppy as the pound sterling took quite a while for the dollar to gain some traction yesterday. Hold on a second, I'm not sure why my chart is taking some time to load up here. I hope we are still connected because okay, I think we are still connected here. So let's wait for this to load up. It's taking quite some time. Don't worry. My network reception is quite fine, but I don't know if this is from TradingView. Let's see how it goes. My reception is quite fine here. Is it TradingView or this is quite strange. Okay, here we go. Finally came up. All right, so let's wait for it to load up. So I'm going back to my 1 hour chart, and then we are going into the GBPUSD. And on the GBPUSD, it has been quite an interesting situation here in this market in the last 4 days. And we had the opportunity of buying at the beginning of the week after identifying a structure between the 1.24800 area, which was between this level and the 1.24500 level. And one thing we were looking out for at the beginning of the week was either a breakout or breakdown of that channel. Let me show you my commentaries on the GBPUSD as at the beginning of this week. So this is it right here. And so this was the beginning of the week. We identified that simple setup just around the 1.248 and the 1.245. And one interesting thing about this structure is the fact that the resistant line that we identified at the 1.248 also shared a confluence with the resistant line of that descending channel we identified in the GBPUSD video. Now we looked out for a breakout of that structure, which actually happened. Price action moved in our favor. Then we also had a position above the 1.25 level where we also had a buy stop order, hoping that price action will break out of that structure to take us another step to the high side. And as you can see, we saw our price action broke out, retest that level, giving us a good confirmation to be part of another move to the upside. Now, as soon as price got into the 1.25350 level, we begin to see some selling pressure. So I mapped out that level, and if we go into the past, we saw how that level as well had been a strong selling niche in this market. So I told us all on the 15th of May, that was 2 days ago or 3 days ago, that was on Monday, to secure all buy positions at this point. Then we saw the sell pressure come in and it took us out of that position. This actually happened during the middle of the night. So I was fast asleep, so I wasn't able to take advantage of this opportunity. So we were taking out, and I told us here that we want to remain patient to wait for new structures to evolve before we want to be thinking of any other position here. So the price action went into this old choppy situation for quite a while, ranging between the 1.225350 and the 1.24800 area. It went on like that old choppy situation. Then remember, we had a sell stop order below the 1.248. That was on Tuesday. We took advantage of that movement. Price action continued to drop to the downside, and this was a fallout from our live session where we said we are going to be waiting to see how price action reacts to the 1.245, where I said we needed a candle to close to make an informed decision on okay, I just saw a comment now. It says, hi, I can't find you on Telegram. Did you try the link scrolling at the bottom of your screen, the trading with Master Sheriff? Just type it out on your Telegram, you'll find me. And if you can't, check the description box in this video. You will be seeing the link to my Telegram platform stated in the description box of this video. You can check it out, click on it, and it will take you directly to my channel. All right, okay, thank you. So we had this whole situation running. So yesterday I told us all that all sell positions are taken out with a small profit as price action breaks out of the descending trend line to emphasize the buyer's trend at this juncture. Confirmation patterns around the 1.24800 zone will welcome buying opportunity. Please note that the bearish bias is still valid if price action drops below the trend line. Now we saw this situation happen, buy position triggered, move to the upside. Then we saw this whole situation happen this morning where price action dropped to the downside again, sell pressure resumed, giving us a very choppy situation where it reveals that there is a level of indecision in this market. Now going back into the live chat here, okay, I shared here this morning that we are going to be having a sell stop order below the 1.245, 1.242 with the hopes that price action is likely going to be going further to the downside. And this is basically as a result of the idea that price action has been bearish for quite a while, and it makes a whole lot of sense to look out for selling opportunity around the structure unless the structure states otherwise. Now with the situation we have here, a sell position has been triggered just right below the 1.245, and as you can see here in the last couple of hours, price action is still struggling. Sellers are still struggling to make a statement around that level, so it's very important that we remain patient to watch out for how price action reacts to this level. Now, depending on how price action reacts to that level at the 1.24500 area will determine if the sell opportunity we have this market in this market right now will continue. And if it so happens that buy pressure resumes around that area, then at this point we might likely be seeing a reversal pattern in this market. Now I will be sharing with you why I have said so. Now if you look at what has been happening since the beginning of the week, the lowest point price action has been for this week is around the 1.24200 area, and we saw that as soon as price got into that level, we saw buy pressure resume in that market, breaking out of the resistant line of that descending channel. Okay, probably for those who are not part of our live session prior to this one, let me quickly go into the 4 hours time frame so that you can see how important these trend lines are, as a better understanding of what is going on the higher time frame will give you an idea of what I'm talking about, and it will make things a little bit more easier. So in that regard, let's quickly run through the 4 hours time frame for the sake of those who are not part of the live session prior to this one. So this was what we had on the 4 hours time frame. Was it on the 4 hours time frame? I think it's on the 1 hour time frame. Let me zoom back to the 1 hour time frame. So I think I just needed to zoom out for you to see that structure there. So okay, it's the 1 hour time frame actually. So you can see price action has been bearish. So we had a descending channel since last week's trading session. We had a descending channel here. So I projected the resistant line of that descending channel into this one, and look at what has been happening since the beginning of this week. We can see this bearish trend line after connecting the lower highs in this market. So it's another sign that sellers are still very strong. However, something interesting happened yesterday when we saw the breakout of that trend line here, giving us a clue that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to hold the bearish momentum or resist the buying pressure in this market. And you all know from a technical standpoint, whenever price action breaks out of a key structure like this, we expect that one point in time price is likely going to come back, retest that structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. Now, the question right now is, the bearish momentum we have seen so far this morning, is it a sign that price action is approaching the trend line to retest it to incite another wave of bullish momentum? Well, in the next 2 to 3 hours, an answer will come on. Now, let me quickly let you know what I'm thinking around this area. Now, we have the lowest point here for the week at the 1.242. That is the lowest point for this week. Now, if price action, if sellers continue to struggle around this area, that is, they find it difficult to break below the previous low here, then at this point we want to start considering buying the GBPUSD for today. So that's why I said it now depends on how price action reacts to the 1.2450 area that will determine what our next line of action will be. So I told you we have a sell position running at this point. It's okay if we are taking out in a loss. I know some people will be worried that what if price action takes us out? It's okay. We still have the privilege of enjoying more trading opportunities in this market. So it's still Thursday, and we still have the last trading day of the week, where massive moves are always peculiar with that day. So let's see how price action reacts to the structure. We already have a sell stop triggered. Let's see how it goes. If price action goes on to break down the structure at the 1.242, then we look out for more opportunities to add more position to our existing trade. Actually, I have my TP target around this area between the 1.238, and depending on how price action reacts to that structure will determine if we are going to be adding more sell position or join a bullish momentum at that point. Now, if price action does not break down the structure and instead we begin to see some buy pressure around this area, then we will have no other choice than to get ready to buy. And obviously, I will be giving you an update on both my TradingView and Telegram platform on how to take advantage of that opportunity as soon as we start seeing signs that buy pressure is coming in around that area. So if you do have any questions regarding what I just explained so far, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be moving on into the next instrument, which is I'm already short of time right now, which is the XAUUSD, which is quite a very profitable trade for me right now at this particular point in time, and I hope it is for you too as well. And if you look at the structure here, since the beginning of the week, we have actually been selling the XAUUSD. Though at the beginning of the week, we were looking forward to a bullish momentum actually, but price action did not give us that confirmation that buyers had the potency of breaking out that key structure had it 2020. So let's quickly run through how we started the week, what we saw at the beginning of the week. So the first thing here is the fact that price action has been bearish since last week, and we have a descending channel to confirm the strength of the sellers in this market. So you can see after connecting the series of lower highs and lower lows in this market prior to the beginning of the week, we had a uniform descending channel which emphasized the strength of the sellers as well, and which also is supposed to be serving as a key pattern to guide our trading activity for this week. Now, when the week started, we saw how price action started on a bullish note. We saw price started at around the $2008 area. This was where price action started this week, and it continued to climb to the upside. And when we saw this whole situation, we confirmed this by mapping out this bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows in this market. And with this whole situation on Monday, we said as long as price action remains above that trend line, we shall feel comfortable in a buy position and also look out for more opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. And what we were actually looking out for to buy was a breakout of the $2020 level. Remember, I said here that we are not getting excited, we are not having a buy stop order. We want to see price action breakout, then give us a retest of structure where the appearance of buy pressure on our lower time frame will give us that confirmation to buy. And the reason why we said we are not having a buy stop order is simply because the fact that price has been bearish for a very long time. We need a very good confirmation that actually at this point buyers have taken their stance and ready to push price to the upside. But unfortunately for the buyers, we never saw that happen, and instead what we saw was the opposite, as we saw our price action broke down the trend line, which of course is what we are looking for if price does not break out of 2020. So the breakdown of that trend line was that sign we were looking out for to join a bearish move. We saw a retest of structure, and with a sell stop order below the $2014.50 level, we had our first sell position for the week. Then after that, we had some choppy situations along the line, bringing some doubts about the sell pressure, but we still felt that as long as price action remained below the resistance line of that descending channel, we have no other choice than to remain bearish in this market. And there was no point in time during the course of the week that we saw price action break out of the resistance line of that descending channel, further emphasizing the level of strength for the sellers in this market. So we continue to ride the move all the way to the downside. And on Tuesday, during our Tuesday live session, we acknowledge another choppy situation between the 1,993 and the 1,986 here, which is a very simple setup for us actually. And you know what we do whenever we have this kind of simple setup: we remain patient, waiting for price action to either break out of the resistance line or break down of the support line for trading opportunity. And yesterday we saw our price broke down, came back to retest structure, and boom, price action continued to ride all the way to the downside. And this morning as well, we had the privilege of adding more sell position to our existing trade as price action broke down the 1,980. So personally, I've moved my stop loss to somewhere right below the 1,980, lock in some profit, and let's see how price action is going to be playing out from this current point. So my advice for you, if you're still in a sell position right now, kindly move your stop loss accordingly, lock in some profit, and let's see how this is going to play out going into the London and New York session today. Now, with that being said, with our position well secured at this point, what is going to be our plans for today? Now, the first thing I would like to state here is that let's zoom out rather. I'm always confusing zoom in and zoom out. So let's zoom out and see what is really going on here. So we initially acknowledged a descending channel at the beginning of the week, and one thing you will notice at this point is that price action is at a critical juncture in this market, and that is just right below the 1,980. And the fact that price is currently along the support line of this descending channel calls for more attention in this market. So at this point, you know what happens when price action gets to the support line of a descending channel? Buy pressure appears to start coming in at one point. Now, what we are going to be looking out for here is, will the buy pressure resume from the structure, or are we going to be having a breakdown of the support line, which of course will definitely be another huge opportunity to be part of a sell-off in this market? Because if a breakdown of the support line happens here, I'm of the opinion that we might be having a very massive move to the downside. So we need to be very careful here. So that is why I have said that we want to move our stop loss to secure the current sell position right now, and let's see how price action will play out going forward. Now, we have a key level at the 1,980, which as long as price action remains below that key level, we look out for more opportunities to sell. So what we want to see right now is to see how this candle is going to play out. Are we going to have a situation where price will come back, retest the structure, and if it does happen that price action comes back to retest the 1980 today, then we look out for selling pressure on our lower time frame, where we see signs that buyers are finding it very difficult to climb back above the 1980. Then at this point we want to be in to add more sell position to our existing trade on this one. And if that does not happen, that is, if price does not go back into the 1980 and instead it finds a choppy situation where we see probably a bearish rectangular pattern where price action goes up and down for a while before the breakdown of the support line of that channel, then that will be another sign for us to be part of a move to the downside. So these are the things we are going to be looking at to sell the XAU USD for today. Now, in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities, you know how we do it here. We want to ensure that we be as flexible as possible. So if we start seeing signs that buyers are gradually coming in, definitely we want to be part of that bullish move. And I already shared with you earlier that price action is currently oscillating around the support line of that descending channel, which is an area where their potentials of buyer coming in is also a thing that needs to be looked at. So if it so happens that buyers come in at the support line here, then a breakout of the 1980 with buy pressure above the structure will definitely give us a sign that buyers are coming in. Then we want to position ourselves at the breakout of structure in our lower time frame to join that bullish momentum to the upside. Remember, as long as we remain within this descending channel, we are not adding any buy position, we are not running any two buy positions at the structure, unless price action breaks out of the resistant line of that descending channel. And it's at this point we will start thinking of adding more buy position to our existing trade. But if this doesn't happen and instead price action gets back into the resistant line and we begin to see another sell pressure on our lower time frame, that is signs that buyers are finding it difficult to break out of that trend line, then at this point we want to consider some other sell position to the downside. So this is how we are going to be buying the XAU USD today. If a breakout retest of the 1980 happens, then we can start considering buying the XAU USD. Now, for those who are in the sell position, kindly move your stop loss, secure the current sell position, and let's see how the buy pressure around the support line here is going to play out in the next couple of hours. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section while I move on to the next pair. So the next pair we are going to be looking at is going to be the last instrument for today, which is the USD JPY, which is also one of our profitable trade so far this week. And remember, we had a very slow start to the week for the USD JPY, where we saw our price action went into a consolidation phase for about 48 hours between the 136.260 and the 135.700. And you know how we do it here. Whenever we have a simple setup like this, we have no other choice than to remain patient, waiting for price action to either break out of the resistant line for buying opportunity or break down the support line for selling opportunity. And what we had here on Tuesday's New York session was quite interesting. So with our buy stop order above the 136.260, we had our first buy position for the week. And in fact, if you had missed out on that opportunity, price action came back to retest the structure to give us more opportunity to be part of this move. And as we rode the move all the way to the upside, we had another key structure at the 136.650, where we also had another buy stop order around that area to be part of that move to the upside. We also had another buy stop order at the 137.200. So it was quite an interesting situation for us on the USD JPY so far this week. And we continue to move our stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit. So at this point, we have a minimum of 3 positions running on the USD JPY. That is for those who still have a position running at this point. Then this morning, I shared on my public platform that we also have another key structure, as you can see here. that as soon as price action got into the 137.700, we begin to see some selling pressure around that area. And with the acknowledgement of this resistance line, I told us all that we should be having a buy stop order above the 137.700 area to be part of another wave of bullish momentum. And if you had done that on this 1-2, you will currently be running with about 5 pips in profit. And at this point, we begin to see that there are signs of selling pressure around this area. So my advice right now, move your stop loss on this one into the 137.700 area, or probably a little bit lower. Let's reduce the risk on this position by moving that in. Let's see how price action reacts to the structure. So going into the New York session today and the London session, anything above the 137.700 looks promising to add more position to our existing trade. Now, there is one caveat to this whole structure. If at any point in time price action breaks down the 137.350, this level here, at this point there is a high chance that this could incite a retracement in this market. So let me put this one in here. Sell breakdown, retest of structure. So we have this figured out here. Now, one thing about this thing here is this: if you are not a counter trend trader, you don't feel comfortable taking counter trends, and you are not a scalper at all, please stay out of this trade, as we still have more opportunities to be part of a trend continuation to the upside. Now, the idea about the breakdown of the 137.350 is more of a retracement move to the downside. And remember, we have a bullish trend line we figured out at the beginning of the week, which is this one right here, where price has been respecting since the last 2 weeks trading session. So I'm of the opinion that if price action breaks down the 137.350 with selling pressure below that structure, we might likely see price action come back into the trend line and to incite another wave of bullish momentum to the upside. So if you are not a counter trend trader, you are not a scalper, just wait for price action to come into this bus stop, where we are going to be looking out for buying opportunity to be part of the trend continuation to the upside. But don't worry, I'm going to be with you right on my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due in this market. So on this note, I want to call it a day here. It has been a wonderful moment. Okay, I can see Davishi, you are welcome. You're welcome. All right, so on that note, I would like to call it a day here. It has been a wonderful moment with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you right in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platform as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye bye.